Jeev. Welcome to all our viewers from Japan, Ireland, and from all around the world to this, the premiere of Echoes of Calling Encounter. My name is Dara McGee and I am the Artistic Director of Aras Eanna Art Centre on the beautiful island of inisheer off the west coast of Ireland. It has been an honour for us to work with all the partners involved, Galway 2020, EU Japan Fest, the Galway Dance Project, and all the talented artists and technicians that have made this project possible, especially during a global pandemic. I will now speak in our native language, an Ghaeilge, of which you will hear in the enchanting sean-nós songs that form the backbone to the soundscape of this film. Doimnic Akiko Kitamura chuairt go Aras Eanna ina Sírí 2019 de bhfuair chure ó gaiileh fiche agus is as sin a thosaigh an Tóiceo. Bhí Akiko le tréimhse chahabh mar ealaíontóir chuma in Aras Eanna chun obair an Tóiceo a chu nói de bhúil an pandéim coronavirus agus daithrí sé sin chulaitheoirt. Bhí sé beartaithe seo a chur stáit in ngáilimh ach bhí is agin nach bheithmuid an ána sin na dhéama. Is mór an écht é mar sin, nár ligmuid don tógra titim ar leathíomh agus gur leanmuid orin na gobar ar an tógra seo anas go méachmuid an án Echoes of Calling Encounter a chur os chóir an phobal. I n-áirítear, ba chóra le panel faoi meantóireacht Breandan de Gallaí, le daoine a bhí páirteach sa tógra seo agus chuna sa dairí lo Echoes of Calling Encounter a chur os bhór chóir inniu. Bannig í soltas.
Níor mór Echoes of Calling Encounter cosúil le tún scádáil gaiileh fiche óstáil is sampla íontach é de cópáirteach agus có-oibriú. It's been brought to us by a local cultural partner and delivered to a global audience and indeed broadcast across the world. It really responds to the Galway 2020 themes of language, migration and landscape, and particularly relevant during our year as European Capital of Culture. The EU Japan Fest in a cópáirtí aontacht le gaiileh fiche a rinceoir ar fud cathair agus chunda na nGaillimh. And indeed our sincere thanks to our cultural partners Aras Eanna and Galway Dance Project who facilitated this incredible project with Akiko and delivered as part of the European Capital of Culture programme. Gur míle maith.
Minasama konnichiwa. Gamani dia gwyf gyleir a gwynewsla. Is mór an onordam ve partach leis an idir-cadrah cultúra seo. Idir an Siapáin, tionscail dawsan na Gaillimhe agus Aras Eanna. Mar cuid de phríomhchathair cultúr na Eorpa na Gaillimhe, ag gcóir le EU Japan Fest. Is fíoraíontach an cói bríú cóhaiteach idir Éireann agus an Siapáin, a bheith le feiceáil le gceann cúpla nóiméad a gcuing uile, atá ag freastal ar fud an iomlán, ag an féimeacht lena seo. Agus an sean ambasáid na hÉireann i Tóiceo, tá míad fíormhuiachas an déis gach tachaíocht a thuairt, le chlár gaiileh 2020, an n-áirítear, lena, agus a rinneam lena seo chuain. Ladies and gentlemen, from historic Honsenji in Shinagawa, Tokyo, I send warm greetings to our friends in Ireland, across Japan, and around the world, who are tuning in to this wonderful online event, Echoes of Calling Encounters. Culture is a key pillar of the thriving relationship between Ireland and Japan. Our links go back hundreds of years. From Lafcadio Hearn and Yeats to the present day, there has long been a mutual interest in our respective traditions across all art forms, in music, literature, the plastic arts, and our respective ancient languages. No other country in Asia has provided 2 medalists in the annual Fleadh na hÉireann, or a céilí band that has brought the audience to its feet in the Ennis Festival marquee. Like us Irish, the Japanese people appreciate that ancient heritage and tradition are to be treasured and sustained into the future. We salute everyone who has been involved in creating and in bringing this impressive project to public exposition. I'm thinking not least of the team at Galway 2020, Patricia Philbin, Marilyn Redden-Gaughan and their staff, and today's executive producer, Siobhan O'Malley. The Galway 2020 team have shown tremendous resilience in the face of this past year's unprecedented events, which have thrown many challenges across their path and ours. Here at the Embassy of Ireland in Japan, we are very impressed by all that Galway 2020 has done in building cultural connections with this country, including through the partnership with a remarkable organisation, EU Japan Fest, under the leadership of Kogi Shuji, its indefatigable Secretary General. Now, Echoes of Calling Encounters is an extraordinary series of intercultural dance performances. It and the short film we are about to see present talented and renowned Japanese choreographer Akiko Kitamura, collaborating with artists in Ireland from Galway and Donegal. Although in the strict sense, Galway 2020 is coming to the calendar end of its EU Capital of Culture designation, I am confident that Echoes of Calling, Encounters, and other projects represent just the beginning of a long-lasting legacy of closer and more fruitful cultural collaboration between Galway and Japan. I know that the remarkable EU Japan Fest organisation is committed to help in the building of this legacy in the coming years, as is my distinguished diplomatic colleague, Ambassador Kitano Mitsuru in Dublin, and of course, as are your loyal friends here at the Embassy of Ireland in Tóiceo. O tanoshimi kudasai, n-áirítear.
Ripini rivani nani la kota timati betikan galako. Ripini rivani nani la kota shidar mari. Ripini rivani nani la kota timati betikan galako. Ripini rivani nani la kota shidar mari. Ripini rivani nani la kota timati betikan galako. Ripini rivani nani la kota shidar mari. Ripini rivani nani la kota timati betikan galako. Ripini rivani nani la kota shidar mari. Broken rivani nani la kota timati betikan galako. Broken rivani nani la kota shidar mari. Broken rivani nani la kota timati betikan galako. Broken rivani nani la kota shidar mari. Broken rivani nani níla cóta timothy Petican Calico broken yard the clock and scarla caught the sheath and Mary broken yard the clock and scarla caught the timothy Petican Calico broken yard the clock and scarla caught the sheath and Mary broken yard the clock and scarla caught the timothy Petican Calico broken yard the clock and scarla caught the sheath and Mary broken yard the clock and scarla caught the timothy Petican Calico broken yard the clock and scarla caught the sheath and Mary broken yard the clock and scarla caught the timothy Petican Calico broken yard the clock and scarla caught the sheath and Mary broken yard the clock and scarla caught the timothy Petican Calico broken yard the clock and scarla caught the sheath and Mary broken yard the clock and scarla caught the timothy Petican Calico broken yard the clock and scarla caught the sheath and Mary broken yard the clock and scarla caught the timothy Petican Calico broken yard the clock and scarla caught the sheath and Mary broken yard the clock and scarla caught the timothy Petican Calico broken yard the clock and scarla caught the sheath and Mary broken yard the clock and scarla caught the timothy Petican Calico broken yard the clock and scarla caught the sheath and Mary broken yard the clock and scarla caught the timothy Petican Calico broken yard the clock and scarla caught the sheath and Mary
Onder is sprake op Donald de Walste, onder de Green, klassieke twee, Hamecha, Chardonnay, Dina, Rakanya, Chakuine, is Paniki Kane. Onder is sprake op Donald de Walste, onder de Green, klassieke twee, Hamecha, Chardonnay, Dina, Rakanya, Chakuine, is Paniki Kane. Onder is sprake op Donald de Walste, onder de Green, klassieke twee, Hamecha, Chardonnay, Dina, Rakanya, Chakuine, is Paniki Kane. Product of Donald the Walste, on the Green, Classic Today, Hamecha, Chardonnay, Dina, Rakanya, Chakuine, is Paniki Kane. Product of Donald the Walste, on the Green,
Is mór an onóir an fáilte chur rih an Dr. Breandan de Gallaí a mai mar meantóir ar an chóra panel seo in inniu. Is rinceoir, córagrafaí, stiúrthóir ealaíonn agus aisteoir Breandan, agus tá sé mar stiúrthóir an chósta BA sa drámaíocht Gaeilge in Ollscoil Limni. Sé Breandan stiúrthóir ealaíonn freisin leis an champántas dásta éireú, agus I meas na léirithe tá chur stáit aige tá Walls Talk, Salome, Éan, Linger, Rite of Spring agus Nochtú. Tá clú agus cálar Breandan ó obair stáitse mar aisteoir ar an subal dráma le TG Cahar Russ na Rún agus ar nói mar príomh dásóir a bheith 7 mbliana le Riverdance. Ó Gaeltacht dúnaála dúcha sé Breandan, áitiúil sever le ceol, cultúr agus an rince Gaelach. Tá muid fíorbríocht de Breandan a bheith in inniu, agus Breandan tá fáilte rót gur míle maithagad.
Gur maithagad Dara, glóine hanna Ínta. So bardam tús gur maithagad Dara tús chuma an panel in náithe. Scailtar chláici níla I Diane Cannon, ten gradam comórtas chumhniúchain chéin áig I tuama bonticí san nareachtas, agus in na album uair cuachta atá eisithe aici idir bhuatha go slíomh chomhaibrí sí le ceoltarí iontaithe Maxáil Mick McGoldrick, Donald Shaw, Neil Martin, Lila Salura agus Mairead ní Bhuine. So the fáilte ró Diane. As gailteart ghidóir é Doimnic Mac Giolla Bhríde ceoltar an Chanos atá an agus bhainse cornaí riarda an gradam is mó ahananta sa seanra ceáil seo. Buíochas Doimnic na Buíochas agus an cardín piano agus tá mór album ceáil agus leorí uairain de feirstí eisithe ige as de fáilte mhór róta Doimnic. Agus deirún sin is córagrafaí dásáir stúrthár agus alamh cólaach in óstáil sinsú I Akiko Kitamura. One si a competence dása í héin Lenny Basso an líideagní sa ceir agus I an monster dear an óstáil waséda. When si úsáid as a teorach choreographiarta héin an grid system. Agus I stúrú smaile dása, salas, rihim agus iwa chord le chiile, to go gradam buntamaki. So Akiko Kitamura is a choreographer, dancer, director, and associate professor of Shinshu University in Japan. She founded her dance company, Lenny Basso, in 1994 while studying in Waseda University. She has implemented her own theory of choreography, the grid system, and her own directing style that combines and develops dancing, light, rhythm, and image. And she has won many, many awards. So you're very welcome, Akiko. So far ha latsa Dara is chun chiad start. Rud a hashi mar co-ibru ualviana international nírá ada gurú an pandemic chur deirúla war goid planana. Agus diri liv an scial seo hasú hart agus an tarlua ekeljar balamur jesh that a méide ta fikiste agam héin sa scannain inta seo. Ní bhain iar-scannáin cruthia agus álainta a iar-scannáin co-ibriach agus technoliarta. An díglad inse dún fudud an astar seo?
Well, vi thuras fada simúl agin ó an céad lá a tháinig Akiko chuairt go ina sir I 2019 agus siad gaile feithe a chur in aithne Akiko linne in Aras Eanna. So vi planan na mór agin go teochach Akiko tréimhse cónaíocht mar ealaíontóir chuna in Aras Eanna agus go chorchmuid an seo seo ar státe sa teapán agus in seo I gaiileh agus nói ina sir. But cé rá le fis go rá an pandéim coronavirus agus dahrí sé sin chulathóir. So bhí orin smín asmín na dhéanana ar an tógra ar fad agus tháinig Siobhan O'Malley ar Boward ó an tíobh seo an éireann chuí na clachtaí ar sa teapán chuí Doimnic agus Diane amach chuig go deapán I mí anar agus de ghlac siad páirt sa léirú an sin agus ar an tíobh seo gin dain bhí muintne chumidir deangáil le an Galway Dance Project agus rinne Akiko na clachtaí tríd Zoom. So is iontoch an chuí go bhfuil muid an athrú nuair a chahamid athrú agus go raibh an écht de scannáin seo a chur le chéile. So basically, just to rephrase in English, who would have thought that there was going to be a global pandemic that would put a spanner in the works? But we didn't let that put us off. So Akiko first visited Inisheer in 2019 from an invitation from Galway 2020. And that's where the project started. Akiko was supposed to come to Aras Eanna as an artist in resident. And of course, with the coronavirus pandemic, we couldn't do that. So we had to reimagine the project. So Echoes of Calling Encounter was thought up that this film would be made, and the rehearsals went ahead in Tóiceo under the directorship of Akiko, and Doimnic and Diane travelled from Donegal to Tóiceo in January, and in the meantime Siobhan O'Malley came on board as who's our executive producer and introduced the Galway Dance Project and the three Galway-based dancers, Magdalena Hylack, Stephanie De Fruis and Minte Wold, who Akiko choreographed through Zoom and through modern technology. And as she will probably tell you herself, it was a very interesting experience to try and choreograph dancers that you have never met. So we were thrilled to continue with this project and not let it fall by the wayside, because we felt that the partnership between Japan and Ireland and what we were doing was very strong.
Gur míle mai go Dara, but go go mar ráiste go agus is fiú ráit go an léirú a bhí deanta in sa Japan túsna bliana ínta ar fád agus is fiú a cailt. Ra má thugad is a Gymric. Híl mai héin nes gur bunú úsáid as an tannos ar bhela a bhí an éfachta sa fí sa dagta seo. Agus cé go ró an cóthaics go Homlan de friúil, ní ró se bh ceol ach PC bigad an chuirein ag gamantaí, bhí fuam ar abertí, ar fuam ar fón an leite scíal na chuirein. Ag lórt na bharsaí amantaí, anas gur PC filiarta bhí an tú, agus fásta an dói bunú as a chéile na chuirein, agus gur atógaí ar bhela uairgus ar gúsáid móna coamside. Dúsan ar cáiliú rudidir bí don cuairtatá ag na chuirein seo. Could you mar chuoin prósa seo de chéin gúsáid an tradition ar an bhela seo?
Well, the Aras táhairta an traditions of an héana gcónaí na seanclair seaí bagráile fa na daintí acu Aras agus sinnim ar a chláir se, so cé gur róid garis na daintí rud can an neidir a bháid tan tá rihim na daintí Gaeilge tá se cos a rap like tan braim ínta táhairta an bhuair an Gaeilge agus nar a fuamnan tú na facil lá héin tá se go deas le heol Harba. But just bailm punta go ar tesnim na marn amagan nar bhí ma hall thug ma fáide go glúcheanil idir a dé haltar. Agus anna ma trasar quote seo né actually just I'll read it out. I'm getting very academic now, but just Jeremy saw Marilyn here now, but this thing quote, but just to sum up I found when I was in Japan, I found there was a strong connection. The two cultures, the Gaelic culture and the Japanese culture, had something in common. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I came across this quote the other day, and it kind of sums it up. Like the Japanese culture is it's not brash like American. It's not like in your face. It's very kind of subtle, and it's very similar to Gaelic culture, I think. But this quote really sums it up. Kuno Myers wrote it. He was a German scholar. He was a Celtic scholar in 1890s. Well, he wrote this in 1911. He was talking about Irish poems and songs. He said, it is characteristic of these Irish poems that in none of them do we get an elaborate or sustained description of any scene or scenery, but rather a succession of pictures and images which the poet, like an impressionist, calls up before us by light and skillful touches. Like the Japanese, the Celts were always quick to take an artistic hint. They avoid the obvious and the commonplace. The half-said thing is to them is dearest. So that sums it up in one quote, I think. Just the connection between Gaelic culture and Japanese culture, and that's what I found when I was there. I don't know a whole lot about Japanese culture, but I know that there's definitely connection there, deep kind of connection.
Táid muid mar córagrafaí agus stúrthar creidim na scumó dearcaí ionta leidir ag Akiko ag se bitir ag pléin na réanna na bhí se bh chuir an fuam réan na cheile. Could you marví sin Gymric an ró iontas fan na helementí a bhí Akiko geri?
Well, the físici héning ta leidir that dé bhí si geri. But sin ar heagmadinne go a bhí si geri anu, but it's become a guy big limited just a piece of bug so can hen piece of bug that more hogre. So as grom in alta pieces of hen but we fish like is get JVC and clagging siki so but you go are in it's your jay wherein na piece Irish in na hall die
agus muid atí agus agus rásagan agus but níor siálta mí doing go mai go díra bhí gus but sin rud maithir áid nar ón gus an de choultar go difriúil trial and error bhí an chuidhhaida agus sílim go cin neall béle bhí deachráirtaí le gasú rudaí, but sílim go mai bhíon because hánig me mála rudaí na dhéana a ré na ní an rud míní dún go ddíra agus bhí le déanú but ar gáid bhí sin mai because ní harmid rud dhéana a ré a rud bheit daoine de réimrá dhéanú so bhí sé hin áta pecuá go dé
I was just asking there, Akiko, did you have very strong opinions about what you were choosing when yourself and Doimnic and Diane were discussing the songs? Did you have a kind of a particular aesthetic, or did anything jump out from the Shandal singing that you thought was going to be central to your choreographic sort of creative process?
日本語でまず、こんばんは、こんにちは、北村明子です。振付家です。I speak Japanese and English sometimes. Thank you very much for questioning. During the creation process, of course, I could not understand the Irish girl. And at first, I asked Doimnic and Diane, what kind of song with this kind of theme, for example, pray for the birth of the land, or some theme I pick up. Sometimes it is universal, sometimes it's a kind of based on my concept. So mixture theme I ask them, and they have many kind of songs, amazing. So when I ask them what kind of song you have, and then they answer always 3 or 4 or 5, 6. So they have so many, like dictionary, huge dictionary they have in the brain. So amazing. But this kind of way of the having something inside of the body, it's like for example, in Japan, rakugo, like speaking way, like a comedy, they have so many dictionary story, more than 1,000 and maybe 3,000, I don't know. But this kind of the songs, melody, face, I mean a pray face, they have their own body. It's already inspired me. What kind of movement we want to produce. So even we could not, the Japanese dancer could not understand the meaning of the language, the melody tone and their way of voice, like there are so many tremolo, and this seems, at first I thought all the same, but not at all. Each singer, each region singer has so much different way of making a tremolo and tone and then transform. I don't know how to express their technique. There is no logic way, I guess. But anyway, those emotional, soulful way of voice and message with whole body is directly affect our body, the choreography and dancer. Sorry, this is my answer first.
That's absolutely fascinating, and I'm going to speak to Diane about that. Nuair muitim héin ar na seanmhuaire an Diane, sílim go rudí ínta páirt an tú sa géisteart inis le Akiko agus an cineal an cuairta bhí acu. So carhfuir massam na deochú le daoine iad a hiagbhail, man na dagann siad sa tradition, man ar cheall tú mis agus rubal na ceir scáil, cé dá mós agad go géir na go min, cé dé ton. Gurn sé intas art nuair bhíon daoine na bhfuil cúlar bí harpaí acu leis an tradition seo, chóthócail sé cheáil a Diane.
Hosa intas eintarm túsna déine gobarí agus bhí déanú crenne frí Zoom agus bheith agus Akiko agus an ceoltaríile. Agus leis an instid níor heag meise bete go homlan go déan iwa bhíiciise na go déhí ónarí agus léar mór an nám mar cheoltar tú cleartile caiitú war an mór omlan íonú agus sasad bete versaí eile agus dat is muúir a tuara na hen agus ma dú tú na móhain agus an nóran an er hannig mit le heile an sin hannig se ligeléir le heile hí céalis na a hannig me din dasaí cénar me dinne abalte Lordlis na dasaí na dhéitsin kant ní heig me die heile afrí die cheol agus a kiko a touch betur genseún go Jane móhan ví a fi seo an dase agus go déne smuiti ha vieke se mar dúchi cos le swimtri ná gí ná rud a bí mar sin so ho me die níos le betur couple sample agus sinna knel ho de heile agus ví se sam mar dú as sin níró tú callú knel rudsin de se seannos vi se go smer go fáil san nober lige vi janta goin ke go se lige léir ahí agus vín canal janta agun agus heig me die heilsin cosla na dasaí agus na ceoltarí mar a dé chi carwer jo le éan urge so cosla go me is mo cuat na a glór a ben is cuún bre hen se go dé hí na dasaí chu trasna mena samú ar fad agus vi se galante an nober sin ennu.
To get sin right and couple facal merle.
Sure, I was just saying about, when we were working together at the beginning, it was quite difficult because we were trying to understand, exactly what was needed for the show. And until we actually went there and seen the dancing and it just clicked, we understood then. So, and between Akiko, trying to explain to us, the emotion in the songs, because a lot of the time as a performer or a singer you're thinking about the content of the songs or what you're singing and how many verses or just things like that. You're more concerned about your own performance, but this was a collaboration and an understanding between the dancer and the singer and the music, and I just found it so interesting. Even although the dancers and maybe myself and Doimnic, we couldn't understand each other. Once that connection was made of what the little story was about or what the feeling was involved, we just connected that way. So we understood each other, and the same way with dynamics, if you wanted to a little bit louder or a little bit softer, it was amazing how it came together at the end, because it was quite difficult to understand at the beginning, but it was just amazing how it all came together. And as Breandan had said before, sometimes we can be quite precious of our songs and everything else, and we don't want to lose that, especially when you're doing anything modern with music. But I don't think we lost that. I think we still kept the spirit, that pureness of the tradition throughout.
Gur mí mai go Diane agus tú reis rudí íntathe ó híhil a go dóid éon daoine a nearcú cin go siad páirt an runeart dúirt Dara hélam gur dhéirtha miúnsaige ar fád a gobar ar seo agus go bé rud úr in híal an da sa coamse se go tócalis. I just want to turn to you, Akiko, because what Diane has been talking about is incredibly important, how by being part of this this collaboration you just find this new kind of expression or art form that you may not have had kind of a way into, and then just to be so immersed in it, it was transformative for many of the artists and the people who were involved. And just I want to congratulate you myself, because as a choreographer, the best compliment I can give you is the fact that I was so envious when I saw the piece, because it was such an incredible emotive piece for me to watch. And considering that you kind of dipped into our geography, our culture, and you were able to make something really really fabulous, but also what an incredible bunch of dancers you work with, the technique, how they actually move. But I'd be very interested as a choreographer about your process. And I know we could talk about this for a very long time, but maybe you could focus on how you took your source material, the landscape, the weather, the people, superstitions. How did you make those manifest? How did you physicalize them? Could you talk about that for a little while?
Hi. Yes, this is a really still difficult question, because I could not yet digest everything. Still going on under constructing. I mean, there are so many parts of the under constructing, but until now, we had 2 projects, and the second one with this Echoes of Calling encounter, this collaboration is really meaningful for me because I could not meet the dancer directly. Then on this process, of course, at first, the inspiration is coming from my experience in Galway, 2019, and I see the soundscape, and I experience many weather, so many hard weather. So now within 10 minutes, 20 minutes, so many differences. So I could not plan perfectly my activity as a field work. Then through this experience, I really realized like it is really hard way, but it's really improvisation thinking is needed. So this is the same with how to make the movement as well. So of course I am stucking many times because we could not see and we could not have a same language. I mean, a language, body language, I mean. And without touching it, it's really difficult to communicate really perfectly. But even this is stacking, I was thinking about anyway. For example, this Galway's weather, what's happening to you? I asking to me because okay, so right now hard raining. I have to go there and avoiding the rain. And okay, the blue sky is coming, so go now. I can eat some sandwich on the street, for example. So this kind of the improvisation, thinking different quickly, but based on of course the core concept. I don't want to lose something, but anyway, the movement, we start with talking, dialogue with the dancer, not exchanging the movement. I mean, movement with a form, because they have their own character movement theory of the creating of the movement, and I have, and I don't want to push my own style. I really want to research about what the dancer wants to feel, what are they feeling through this condition, especially the COVID-19. They could not even touch, and they could not, to be together more than 1 year. And it is different from Japan. And I explain my story concept and the structure of the piece, and we share this kind of, the notion, the stream. But from that, we start to think, for example, the skin feeling, because we could not touch and we feel nervous. And we think about on the inner side of the body, like we have some good or evil creature inside of the body, for example. So this kind of work, we exchange in the workshop with them. Then we check what's happening with each dancer's body, and they show their presentation, their thinking with the movement. For example, this kind of conversation dialogue is going on 7 or 8 times, and finally we could find some result. This is the inside of the film. Yeah, this kind of many effect is coming to the concept of the piece and the movement, but it's not logic.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. Now it is at 2 o'clock, but I've been advised that we can chat for just a little while longer because we were late starting.
Yeah.
So, but why don't just kish the gas of Yarsa Dara, Gajira, a doi way and dice coamshire of Imarticus to Gobber or in Tóiceo Lord. Did that Lord Lynn for the Dashaw? Kaja go to Kinyal, Yergus Ur Elle, in Sa Kinyal, and Sa genre Dowsa, Egus to Gobberlish.
Kincha, Breandan, but just before I answer that question, I introduced yourself, Breandan, earlier on in the Irish language, and I'd just like to introduce you in the English language for the non-Irish speaking viewers that we have today. So Dr. Breandan de Gallaí, who's chairing this discussion today, he's a dancer, choreographer, artistic director, and an actor, and he's currently the acting course director of the Bachelor of Arts Irish Dance at the University of Limerick. As artistic director of the dance company Éireadh, Breandan has staged many productions including Waltz Talk, Salome, Éan, Linger, Rite of Spring and Nochtú. Breandan's talents are widely recognised from his work on stage as an actor in T.G. Cahir's Rus na Rún, and of course is a dancer in Riverdance from 1994 to 2003. 7 of these years as the principal dancer. He's a proud native of Donegal, of the Donegal Gaeltacht, a place steeped in culture, music and Irish dance. And we're very, very grateful to have you here chairing today. I just wanted to get that across to our non-Irish speaking viewers today. So to get back to your question, Goramagad as often question. So it's though you know, ó héh an léirú seo chur le chéile agus mar a dúirt mé bhí an asmuoine dhéanamh ar an tógra ar fad agus mar a dúirt mé tháinig Siobhan O'Malley agus Jill Murray ón Galway Dance Project ar bábhard ón taobh seo de lena dámsóirí iontach ar an taobh seo agus an obair iontach ar ina Akiko lena dámsóirí sin trí Zoom. But caiim mé rá freisin an rud a chur an rud seo le chéile ná an scannáíocht ar ina Laura Sheeran agus an sailtiú ar ina Shannon Light nuair bhí siad isteach sa iar-scannáin ag scannáíocht agus a rís bhí siad a scannáíocht an seo an chos airige Breandan amach ar ina sir mar ní rá ceadag in dul amach an sin. So caiim mé rá go rinne muidne an chuideobair an seo faoi stiúr Akiko agus nuair a cheolmuid an scannáíocht a rinne muid go dtí an teapán. Bhí mise just chótócaí leis an obair technúil ar rinne an furan technúil sa teapán an vision mixing agus an agriocht agus chuile hort. What I was just saying there is, you know, when we had to reimagine this project, that because of COVID and the travel bans and all that, it was fantastic when Siobhan O'Malley, as executive producer, brought Jill Murray, a producer with the Galway Dance Project, on board, and we had our 3 Galway-based dancers. And the brilliant thing about this was that the filmography of Laura Sheeran and even and the lighting design of Shannon Light that matched the lighting design that was done in Japan. That was filmed in the Mick Ghallaí Theatre in Drew Theatre in Galway and on the shores of Connemara overlooking Inisheer. But what really knitted this whole project together was the technical brilliance of the technical crew in Japan, the editing, the vision mixing, the soundscape, the music, the musical design. It just blew me away when I saw the finished piece. I was really amazed, and I think it's a credit to everybody in Japan and here in Ireland that worked on this project. It's something Aras Eanna, as a partner on this project, is extremely proud of.
Here, mar job tar fad. Well, tá sé giri sais mal agus just le réit le na daoine at a garcarin an idirlín an piamar of hall agus arc ar an fiise da sa seo ar YouTube na tá sé dochreite agus an fuam agus an ceol is an dói chuir le chéile just aspar ar fad. Tá má buair ar ré na go gaimiid jeruchaile sin córa. Mo Buíochas le Akiko bhí an fanna le inniu, Diane Cannon, Doimnic Mac Giolla Bhríde, Dara McGee agus gan Breandan de Gallaí Kitamura agus córagrafaí leis an oran ar fad a bhrí ar an tógra ní le déanais as lena gat leh go mí maithigh.
What?